Hello guys, what's up? So in this video, I'd like to tell you about how it feels to be a PhD student here in America. And mostly what I'm gonna talk about is that what a PhD student is doing here in America and what's kind of difference between doing a PhD here in America and let's say in Australia or in UK. So basically the main difference between a PhD program here in America and the one in the United Kingdom or Australia is that in America PhD studies normally consist of half coursework and half research. So basically it's the coursework is gonna take around 3 years, and the research can start either in the second year or in the third year depending on how we program it. But the reason why I chose America actually is one of them is that I like coursework. I like having classes. I like being taught. So even though I like research as well, but I still kind of enjoying the environment where we have classes and there is some interaction between lecturer and the students, and it's kind of like discussion and that kind of environment. The academic environment that really feels alive to me, really attracts me actually to study in that kind of way. And studying PhD here in America provides that kind of environment. So we have classes. So basically last semester, this is my second semester that has just started. We've gone through the second week and now I'm in the third week of the second semester, and I'm thankful that I've done the first semester quite well, even though it's not excellent, but I did my best. So again, if we do a PhD program in UK or in Australia, we're not gonna have coursework because most of it will be research, so that once you come to the university you're gonna start doing your own project, and you're gonna be assigned some sort of writing project that you have to decide which type of research you're gonna be doing. Even though here in America, before we came, we have to have some sort of planning of what project we are interested in, so that we can adjust which supervisor or professor is gonna be interested in being our advisor or supervisor. It's that kind of a thing. Even though before we come here, we needed to set some sort of plan for our research. It doesn't mean that we're gonna be doing exactly the same kind of project later when we do the research. So don't be thinking or don't be anxious too much. Don't worry too much about whether you're gonna be doing that or not. But the thing is that, are we having a clear vision of that certain kind of project that we are intending to do, so that is gonna be presented normally during the interview before we got a scholarship actually. So again, in UK or in Australia, like what I saw from the experiences of my friends, They don't have classes, um, even though sometimes they can go like have a sit in class where they can just go into the class, where a certain thing discussed is something that's important to support their kind of knowledge, the research. But there is no obligatory classes for the PhD in UK or in Australia. And in America, the same thing is that we have to pass some certain stage to be able to conduct the actual research actually for our PhD program. So in America, that is called as qualifying exam. The exam will be either or both spoken and written one, depending on the way that the advisors or the supervisors prefer. And the one in UK or Australia, they're gonna have some sort of qualifying exam, but in a different way. They call it as, if I'm not mistaken, what type of seminar is it? I forgot what's the name of the seminar. It's a confirmation seminar. So that means after having our qualifying exam, if we pass it, we're gonna be a PhD candidate. The same thing in Australia. Before they have the confirmation seminar, they're not regarded as PhD candidate. So don't be mistaken. Despite being a PhD student, we are not necessarily regarded as PhD candidates. So that's what I was mistaken before, because I used to write my CV as a PhD candidate. Well, in fact, it was criticized by my advisor that she was saying, you were not a PhD candidate yet, but you were a PhD student. In order to be a PhD candidate, you need to pass the qualifying exam. So that's it. And again, if I'm talking about how the environment feels like, it's just the same as anywhere, any school that we study in. It's just academic environment. All students are, meant to do the same thing. Listen to the lecturers carefully, like pay attention on every single detail. And later, when we're off the class, we need to look at the syllabus, like look at the schedules, look at the even look back at the lectures, look at the notes, or if the lectures have recordings online, we can look at it again, and that kind of thing. But the one that I really like and be inspired of here in America is that the study environment where students are really engaged in knowing more and more. And I used to feel and think like, oh my God, like all students are so smart. Like everyone is really engaged in having, for example, discussion in the class. They're eager to ask questions, and they're so confident, and there is no stupid question. Everyone feels free to speak out of whatever the question in their mind, which is something that's really amazing for me. And the same thing I found when I was in Australia when I did my master's as well. So that kind of environment really keeps us up. When we think that we may to do something else, but when we see other students being so diligent, you know, we think that, oh my God, I'm a student too. I need to do something that matters to me as a student. Everyone wants to play, everyone wants to have fun, but we need to be mindful that as a student, we need to make study as fun as possible. We need to love what we do and do what we love. And that's it. I'm not a good motivator, but that's it. Always try to motivate ourselves. But again, it's all about making sure that we use our time really properly, because one day, even though it's 24 hours, it's actually really short, because most of the time we use that for sleeping. Around 8 to 10 hours is just for sleep. If we can sleep for 6 hours, that's good. But the thing is that not everyone can sleep in 4 hours in a day. Somebody might need at least 6, 7, 8, or somebody might need 10 hours, but that's too lazy to actually get up. And that sometimes happens to us, to me, I mean, especially when we have a long weekend. Then the next day is the day for the next class. Oh my God, the long weekend has ended, and it's so quick. The same thing happens during the winter break, before the spring, before the spring semester. So this semester is called spring semester. So when we had that break, it was actually so long. I mean, it's like 2-3 weeks. But when it ended up and we have to come to the class, it feels so quick. So be mindful. The time might seem so long, but when it passes, when it's gone, it seems and it feels so quick. Regardless whether you're happy or not, regardless whether you're excited to do your things or not, time is always quick and fast. Anyway, maybe you guys don't catch what I mean, like describe about what it feels to be a PhD student here in America. But yeah, I think I've spoken about it a little bit before in one of my other videos. Is actually I also want to gain more knowledge instead of going directly to research. And a part of the reason was also that my research background wasn't actually that good, but that did not stop me from dreaming to continue to higher education, which is a PhD. That gives me hope, that gives me motivation, that no matter we are as a person who's holding a master's degree, we can certainly go directly to a PhD level if we are really dreaming for it, unless you want to work in certain time. And I faced this kind of question during the interview for the Fulbright scholarship. I was asked about my research experience and work experience, because I applied for Fulbright scholarship just after my graduation, or after I finished my master's degree in Australia at the University of Queensland. I was asked about that, and I was trying to answer that as with as good as possible answer that I can. So I was trying to explain how important my research or my research plan is, and how important the contribution of that kind of research into the field that I'm studying, which is equine science, science about horses. Well, in fact, it seems that I'm not gonna be doing the same research that I was proposing when I did the interview. So you know what? So this is something that we really need to be mindful of. Of course, we're gonna be happy if we're gonna do exactly the same research that we've been planning or we're making proposal for, because that means that we've already mastered some sort of knowledge on it. But it, like, it depends on the project, it depends on the available of money, funding, and that kind of thing. And but that doesn't mean that a little shift or even a larger shift in the topic of research that we're interested in doing doesn't mean that it's harmful for our future career. We just gotta need to enjoy it and be curious and willing to be knowing more and more about it. So the research that I was proposing to do when I did the interview for Fulbright scholarship was research on vitamin K in regards with its importance for bone health in horses. But it seems that I'm gonna be doing things on microbial population in the horse gut with regards with nutritional management. So anyway, that's a little bit technical about what I'm studying, but overall what I want to say to you guys is that it's always a good chance. I used to feel that I'm not qualified enough to be a PhD student, but I just tried to combat or conquer that feeling, trying to convince myself that I can actually do it, and not only being able to do it, but I'm trying to convince myself that I can do it in a better way, or even better than I thought. And it seems that it's quite enjoyable. And if we think, or if we say that it's hard, it is hard. However, if we say that it's easy, it is easy when we can accomplish it. So it's actually all about the process. We need to study hard, we need to, and also I've been thinking sometimes to compare myself to those people who, for example, like those people who really master the science that they're expert in, of course. But I'm thinking of myself, like to what extent I can actually master the knowledge that I'm interested in. Like how many books we have read, how many literature we have read, we've gone through, and that kind of thing. That's really important for self-reflection. And I think that there is always still a time, and we need to start from now to actually maximize the use of time to do it. So basically, that is where the challenge is. Like, especially for those my fellow friends in Indonesia or in other parts of the world, if you watch this video, studying abroad is not always having fun. sometimes we need to have some hard time before we actually have fun, or we need to make the hard thing fun. So we need to be mindful of that. Okay, so that's what I actually want to do. It's been 20 minutes exactly, and hopefully the information that I was talking about is useful for you. I'm not kind of an efficient person in talking, but yeah, just wanna express what I think. And if you guys have any questions about Fulbright scholarship, my fellow friends in Indonesia especially, just leave the comment below, and make sure you, if you want to apply, make sure you see the website of Aminef and the video that I posted about Fulbright the other day, which is I was trying to be as complete as possible in that video that made it take so long. So yeah, thank you so much guys for watching, and make sure you hit the like button, give some comments and subscribe. And assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.